G'day everybody out there in listener land. My name is Oliver G. This is the Earful Tower podcast. Co-host today, my wife, Felina Norton G.
Felina?
Did I say Felina?
Hi everyone.
I'm glad you're in a good mood because we're going to talk about frustrations and it's easy to get down. And if you bring sparkling positivity to it, we'll get through this.
Well, one has to.
One must.
Yes,
one
of
must.
course.
So this, before anything, this show is brought to you by My Private Paris. They do tours of Paris and beyond. And at the end of this episode, you'll hear Marie Segura from My Private Paris talking about getting into the Musée d'Orsay before hours.
Well, that sounds like the opposite of frustration to me.
Exactly. They do that as part of their tours. They get in there and see the pieces there. Before it's open to the public. Kind of cool. Hang around for that at the end. But back to the French frustrations. This is a kind of delicate topic because it's hard not to sound like we're ungrateful foreigners.
Sound like a whinge pot.
No.
Just say it.
But I figure 10 years in and 8 years of podcasting, we're allowed to do a little bit of French frustrations.
Yeah, we're eligible.
And the idea here is that you can kind of use it as a warning. Like if you're thinking to do the same thing that we've done, or if you just want some sort of cultural insights into the French mentality.
Or if you just want to grumble a bit.
Yeah,
just
if you want to grumble.
Yeah, it's always nice with a bit of a grumble sometimes.
So let's preface everything else by saying we love France. Isn't it great?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the reason people move to France often is, it's a dreamy, poetic, romantic place. And that's why you move there, and then, bam, reality hits.
And
whether you want it or not.
And what we've found is that, probably similar to lots of people listening to this show, like you're not French, I'm not French.
No.
We're square pegs in a round hole.
Exactly.
And meaning, if we were two French people...
We don't fit.
No, we don't fit.
Yeah.
And that's probably the cause of most of the frustrations that we have.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's our fault.
Oh, yeah.
We don't need to be there.
Yeah. That's a good little caveat to get into the front. We save ourselves there too.
Yes.
But also, for people who are new to the show, Lina's a Swede, I'm an Australian. We have 2 children born in Paris. And we work on the Eiffel Tower, which is weird in itself. Getting a French accountant to set up this as a company.
Yeah.
I remember when I was sitting down talking to her, and she's like, so how does it make money? And I was like, well, there's members and stuff.
But also, in the beginning, I don't know why, but it seemed like most French people thought we were in like the postcard business. Because they like postcards. They're like, yeah, we know what a postcard is. And we're like, no, it's not. What?
It was complicated.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that this might be the only English language podcast that's a French company in the world.
Niche. I like it.
Super niche. So all that adds complications, and that's how some of the frustrations, but some of them are just because we're stupid, like the first one. So what we've done is we listed a couple, but we'll sort of have a free-flowing conversation. But one of the first French frustrations comes from the language. No matter how well you try and master it.
You think you know it.
It all comes crashing down. You look like a fool so easily.
In the simplest of circumstances, like just the simplest of settings, really. Like a bakery.
Oh, for sure.
Don't you have a little example?
At the bakery, I have an example every day in every place, I think. We speak pretty good French, but you still get caught out really easily. I got an example, a cafe example that I've noted down. Is I've recently switched to oat milk in my coffees. Which in French is called lait d'avoine. Lait d'avoine. So I go in to order 2 coffees, one for you, one for me. I say, je prends 2 cappuccinos, s'il vous plaît, avec lait d'avoine. Which to me sounds like, I'll take 2 cappuccinos with oat milk, please.
Simple.
Yeah. And the woman there, she goes, les deux. That's what I heard. Like, as in, what, milk?
Yeah.
And I go, avoine, oat. And she goes, les deux. So like milk.
Still,
what, milk?
Oat milk.
I go, avoine. I think I'm saying it a bit wrong, you know? She goes, les deux. And I go, avoine. Lait d'avoine. And it turned out she was actually saying les deux, which means instead of what milk, she was saying, do you want oat milk for both of them?
For the 2 of them, yeah.
The two? So I go, hey, can I have 2 cappuccinos with oat milk? And she goes, oat milk in both of them? And I go, oat Oh.
So you both are thinking you're each other equally stupid.
Oh, that happens so much as well. That happens so often. When you phrase it like that, every time I go into the post office or in the bakery,
you're like, how are you not getting this? And they're like, how are you not getting this?
Yeah. So that's the frustration. I think I've mastered the English language, and I think if I'm in an English-speaking country,
English, I should hope so.
Well, that's what I mean. But when I'm in a bakery or whatever, I can even control a conversation. It's my job almost, you know. And then suddenly I'm in a position where I'm the idiot.
Where you're being questioned on a letter one level.
It humbles you quickly, and we live in a perpetually humbled state.
I wonder if we seek it, subconsciously.
I don't know. I guess so.
To be humbled.
Well, we've both.
Maybe.
You moved to England. I moved to Sweden.
It's like
at some point.
sadomasochistic.
Maybe we find comfort in confusion.
Maybe.
Well, that's a
Maybe
whole different
we're children
podcast.
at heart.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Speaking of children.
Need a master.
Speaking of children, I'll tell you another place where there's a lot of language confusion. We've got our 3-year-old goes to school now. Maternelle. And it's a whole new vocab. It doesn't matter how much you practice French.
Oh, no, you're not ready for this.
Like words, like... Oh,
it was the same in hospital, in maternity ward.
Yeah.
Like, their vocab is just new.
It's all out the window what you thought you knew. But, like, I remember the teacher says to me, like, all the kids have these cahiers, which is a word I've never recognized. And she's like, make sure you bring in the cahier. And sometimes when you're speaking a foreign language and there's a word you don't know,
Sometimes I just ignore it. I'm just like, nah.
I'm like, if I don't know that word...
It's probably gloves.
Yeah.
It's like, use your common sense. And you're like, it's cold. He's going to need gloves.
Yeah. Well,
obviously, it's not gloves.
Yeah, I do that too. I'm like, that bit I didn't understand. Screw it. We'll get back to that. And then you go into school the next day and they go, where is his cahier? His like folder with...
his notebook
where
thingy.
They've said everything that they've done, whatever. And those things happen all the time. And then you get to a point where you stop questioning the bits you don't know. Like there's a point where you can go, sorry, I didn't catch that word. And you understand everything. And then at some points you just go, I'll skip that. And it's always the important stuff.
Good.
You want to sound even stupider.
Yeah.
Let's dial it back from the language down to the letters.
Oh, no.
The alphabet.
I know, this is humbling.
If I were to give a word of warning to people learning French, especially if they're thinking to move here, it would be when you learn the alphabet, do that to the best of your ability. Because
we still can't handle G and J.
Which sucks because that's our surname.
I know.
But when you, I think when you learn, especially as an English speaker or a Swedish speaker, when you learn the French alphabet, you're like, same letters, more or less the same. Yeah. How often am I going to be spelling stuff anyway? I'll just learn to talk.
Times.
And then you think you learn the important things to spell, like your name or address or whatever. And then when you got to say the package number to a telephone, like
automated.
Robot. Yeah. And you can't pronounce the difference, like you said, between J or G, which are really similar.
And you're like, J. And they're like, oh, excuse-moi, encore, s'il vous plaît. And you're like, oh, no.
And our last name in English is G. G, like giraffe.
Yeah, that doesn't help anything.
G-E-E. And when you say it...
No.
Even if I say G comme giraffe, they still write G. I don't know how... they still write J. Oh, man.
Yeah.
And then I called the company the Eiffel Tower, which is full of E's and A's and
so
R's.
Bad. Yeah, so bad.
The other
but
warning,
that's on you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The other warning I'd give people is the numbers. When you're learning the French numbers, triple down on everything after 70.
Yeah, 60 and up. No, 70.
70 and up. Where everyone's probably heard this a million times, but when it gets to, 88, you say 88. 428. And it sounds easy and you think you know it, but when people are saying their phone numbers or whatever,
in like a whole bunch of them together, you're like, whoa.
And you cheat on it.
Yeah, I do. I like when people need a long set of a series of number. I just I do number by number, and they hate it. I go like 1, 3, 7, and they're like, no, do it in sets.
Yeah, I had an because you meant to say my phone number is
whatever
in 2-digit sets.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had an elderly woman once call me out on it. She's like, no, start again. You're saying the phone number all wrong. I was like, why is it so complicated?
Stop.
Also, we're fully aware that this makes us sound silly.
Oh yeah.
And we're being vulnerable. We're being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. This one's more of a diss on French people.
This is not our fault.
It's sort of different version of, everyone knows that French people love bureaucracy and paperwork, but actual paper, as in paper,
they love it.
They're putting it on a pedestal here, and it's beginning to grind my gears. And
Go on, develop.
So when you, it's for everything, and people say it's getting better, and it probably is getting better. But here's an example of how it isn't. When you have a baby in France, they give you, is it 7 or 9 birth certificates?
9.
It's 9?
Yeah.
And I just think it's one of the silliest things ever. So when we had our first boy, our only boy, they give you the 9 birth certificates, and it was the first time I'd come across this. I was like, why 9?
Yeah.
Like, they're just print-offs. I don't think they even sign them or anything. No. They're just print-offs. I was like, why can't... It's not special. And I was like, what happens if they go, you need them all for different things when you start creche, like preschool, and when you, I don't know, when you buy a dog at the dog shop, you need one. There's just... You need them for all these different things. And I was like, what happens if I use them all up? And they go, well, we'll just give you another 9. I was like, so they're not...
That's special. Yeah. It's not, 9 for life and that's it.
Yeah, they go, don't lose it. Yeah. What if I lose it? We'll just make you another 9.
Like, okay, I'm going to lose it then. They're like, don't.
Yeah. So I accepted it, and we played it by the rules and everything. And then we had our daughter 9 months ago. Same thing. And I was like, surely... It's 2024. It was at the time.
Yeah, surely.
Surely we're not still doing this.
Surely
we're still doing it. And it recently came to a head because we applied for a creche position, which can be really hard to get. Yeah, daycare. And the town hall, you have to send in some documents to the town hall, and they're like, you can do it online, no worries. Which anyone who lives in France,
we're hip to the groove.
In the old days, that would have been a blessing, like you wouldn't even believe it. Now it's normal. You do it online, and they go, thanks for sending in everything. The only thing you didn't send was the birth certificate. And I'm like, you're the guys that gave me 9 of them.
And we tried to upload it, but you were like, you didn't accept the one that you actually printed off yourself. Yeah. So yes, it's No,
that was the next step. They go, take a scan of the one we gave you at home and send it back to us. I was like, you've got it. You've got it.
You're the master of the birth certificate. Just take it. Anyways, this is us grumbling.
No, but that's, I think a lot of people wouldn't realize how... I sort of mentioned this on a recent episode, and someone messaged to say France is ahead of the curve when it comes to this kind of thing. But if you compare it
Compared to who?
Well, exactly. If you compare it to maybe third world countries or something, they're positively futuristic. But if you compare it to Sweden, where paper doesn't exist... I haven't seen cash in Sweden for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Everything is online.
I barely know what it looks like anymore.
And people are quite happy with it in Paris. They like the paperwork. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
What have we got here? Sometimes you don't want to fight the no.
Yeah, that's what we wrote.
What do you mean? That was your headline.
Yeah, well, okay. I feel like we probably talked about this before, but I feel like French people, it's way more common for French people than Swedish people, for example, to say no, and then they kind of expect you to argue with a no, and they want to make exceptions if you're good enough at arguing with it. And me as a Swede, I just take no as a no. I'm like, oh, okay, that's
Swedes are quite conflict averse.
Definitely. Yeah. We don't talk. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we stay away from each
Swedes
other.
are masters of, they call it the argelappar, angry
notes.
Angry notes.
Yeah, we put up
passive aggressive.
Super passive aggressive.
On like the communal washing machines.
Yeah, and I'm sure people have seen these images of, in Swedes, they wait for the bus station. They're like perfectly positioned, like 2 meters apart from each other in a long line, so they don't have to stand close to each other and do small talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Small talk is like the enemy number one.
I found that really hard when I first moved to Sweden.
Yeah.
But in France, they say that...
But anyways, yes, so the no.
Well, the no is meant to be convince me, is how people sort of...
Exactly. And sometimes you don't feel like it.
Or you just don't
You
can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we had a recent nightmare with a dishwasher that stopped working, and the company said that they'd replace it, and so they came out to replace it, and they brought a new dishwasher, and the guy goes, I can't fit this new dishwasher because of the electrics or something. He goes, you need an electrician. And I was like, okay. And he goes, yeah, sorry, I'll come back once the electrician has been here. And I was like, okay. And he left. And I was like, hang on, he left the old dishwasher here. We got 2 dishwashers in the kitchen.
And this is a small kitchen.
Yeah, so I called the company. I was like, oh, you left the dishwasher. What can we do about that? Because we don't want 2. And they said, oh, we'll send someone to fix it immediately. That immediately took about 2 weeks, I think. And when finally the guy comes out and does the repair, puts in the new one, he goes, I couldn't find a park anywhere near your apartment. I'm going to leave the dishwasher. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what, really? He goes, I can't carry it all the way to the car.
Really?
I was like, well, what's going to happen? He goes, someone's going to come and get it really quickly. I was like, but you said that last time. And that's where I probably should have said, hang on, no, wait, there's no way I'm carrying it down with you. I'm throwing it in the street. But I just sort of went, oh, okay. And then then we wait a couple of days and nothing happens. So I call up the company again.
And she's like, you're top of the list, top of the list.
Yeah, she goes, top of the list. And
we're like, what list?
Before she said it was top of the list, she goes, I go, we still got the old dishwasher here. And she goes, why did he leave it there? And I was like, I don't know.
Like it's our fault.
So we got top of the list, and then it took another week or something. And I don't think any French person would have accepted that.
Yeah.
And we both just did.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, okay.
So, we've... we got to work on that, I think, probably.
Probably. That's on us.
Yeah, that's on us. And also, oh gosh...
Feels nice to grumble, though.
Yeah, I'm going to grumble one last bit.
Yeah.
I feel like this is dangerous territory. But I've noticed in Australia, for sure, when that kind of thing happens, especially when you're like an angry customer calling up, in Australia, they're really quick, even if they don't mean it, but to say sorry and to calm you down. Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry about that. We'll have someone fix that. I don't feel like it's the same in France. And I could be so easily calmed or quelled by a little, oh, we messed that one up, sir. I mean, oh, don't worry about it. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
But then you're left feeling like it's your fault sometimes. This could all be a language thing that I'm getting it wrong.
Probably.
But I feel like a little sorry would go a long way sometimes.
Yeah. It wouldn't be bad.
You know what? That's enough French frustrations.
Oh. We're happy now.
Yeah,
satisfied.
Why don't we talk about how much we love this beautiful country before
I think that's nice. Before they kick us out.
But can you imagine the paperwork to kick someone out of the country? No, we love Paris, and it's been quite... I'm curious. It'd be fun to talk to a psychologist about this... putting yourself in a difficult position of living in a country where you don't fit.
Yeah.
And why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know, and we've both done it several times.
Yeah. Any psychologist, write in with some...
what do you think? What is our problem?
More importantly, if you're not a psychologist, but you've got a funny language story, we were having a good laugh about that Les Devoirs story. And these things happen to us all the time. We don't even write them down anymore. They happen so often. But if you've got a good one, send it in, because I'd quite like to do another episode of listener letters.
Yes, I love
where people say... The only thing, I have to say it, I'm so sick of that story about preservatives.
Oh my God, I don't even believe it.
No, and every time
I'm
I said
sorry.
that, people write in and say it happens to... The word preservative in like this jam is so good it has no preservatives. And if you try and guess that in French and you say this confiture has no preservatives.
But how often are you talking about the preservatives in marmalade?
Exactly. But the word means preservative means condom.
Yeah.
And apparently it's happened before that people say, oh, your jam's so good, it hasn't got any condoms in it. And the French host is like, why would it have any condoms? Great story.
But is it like how
often do you talk about
preservatives
to a French person? So don't send that one in. But send in all the other ones. Love language mishaps, and we'll have a think about some that have happened to us. But for now, this was just a quicker episode. Let's hand the mic over to Marie Segura and have a think about booking one of their before the museum opens tours of the Musée d'Orsay, because I think it sounds like a treat.
That sounds lovely.
Let's pass the mic over to My Private Paris. Marie, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Spectacular.
Great.
Especially because we're talking about the Musée d'Orsay.
Oui. which I think is your favorite museum.
It is my favorite museum. I mean, it's just an amazing building and the art collection known all around the world. So yeah, definitely the best.
I've got to admit, I have hardly talked about that museum on this podcast over the last 8 years.
Oliver,
I don't know
you need
why.
to.
No, I really like it as well, but I don't know why I haven't. Even when we were talking before, you were blowing my mind with facts about this place I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, why don't we give a brief history of this place?
Yeah.
To
So
people?
so the location itself has so many layers of history, like under Napoleon, and then it became a train station. Then we dropped the train station, and we were like, okay, what should we do with this building? And at one point they say, okay, let's do a museum. And this museum was taking collection a little bit from the Louvre, a little bit from Musée de Luxembourg, and we just gather the best painter of the 19th century there. So Monet and Renoir and Cézanne and then after Van Gogh. I mean, they're all there. It's just magical.
Right. And so it's like mostly Impressionism, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's known for the Impressionism collection because it's during this time where the Impressionism movement really, form itself. So, but then you have a little bit of after also. So Van Gogh, Gauguin, they are coming after, but they are still considered the same line, let's say, of art.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then specifically, you guys offer a sort of, not just skip the line, but a get in half an hour before everybody else gets in.
Yeah, exactly. So something that allows you to really enjoy the rooms with having to, let's say, push someone out of the view. So you can really enjoy the Impressionist room without this feeling of like, oh, I'm in a museum, in a Parisian museum, and the crowd is there, and I'm just one part of this crowd.
Right.
No, just being really there to appreciate art
And when you have
way.
people that book this tour, is it that they typically want to go and spend some alone, that sounds weird, but spend some alone time with a specific painting, or is it more...
No, that's exactly what they want.
What it is?
Yeah, they really want to, like, a lot of paintings in Musée d'Orsay, people already know about them. Like, they study them at school or they saw them somewhere. So it's a sensation that we need also to respect as a guide. Like, the first time you're looking at the true piece, it's some kind of emotional for some people. I had people telling me in front of the Caillebotte, they said, this is my favorite painting in the world, and that's the first time I'm seeing it. And there's always an emotion about it, and it's great to respect that and to let them having this like silence, like alone moments.
So you're like debating whether you should explain anything about it or just
after. You said after. First, the emotion.
But is it that one, the flaneur, the one where he's walking on the street?
Exactly. Actually, I was this one in particular. The lady was in love with the one that they're working on the floor. There was like So that was her favorite one. But I think it's the same for some Van Gogh or some Monet painting. People are like, oh wow, that's the true one, the one I always saw in my life. So.
I get that. What about I imagine there are lots of people that would love to have a picture of that big clock in theory without all the people.
Yeah, also.
That's one of those places where
you
like
can always you can always queue and have your picture with the clock. It's funny because I have to tell you, I think it's a little bit overrated.
We've already done overrated, underrated.
I know, but I just think Musée d'Orsay, there's so many beautiful things to see, and I'm like, it's fun. This clock is fun, but the picture is never really good because you're just a black silhouette.
It's true. It's one of those things that someone's seen on Instagram once, and then everybody wants to do it. But it's
fun.
It's also true in Paris. A lot of the museums, the building themselves, are showstoppers. Have you noticed that? Like if you're in a museum, even if you don't care about what's on display, you can look through the windows or look at the staircase or something like that and just be like, wow, sometimes the museum is just about the building.
Yeah, and Musée d'Orsay is one like that because first you can go up to the balcony, to the terrace, and you can look up on the Louvre and all the way to Montmartre, which is pretty fun because the painter, they used to live there and you can see actually Montmartre from Musée d'Orsay. And also you have this ballroom, I don't know if you saw the dancing golden ballroom that there. It's just something else. I would love to have a party there once. And the restaurant is beautiful. I mean, you're right, the whole building.
What do you mean the balcony though?
Oh, I mean the huge terrace. That is
outside.
Yeah, that is outside. I'm saying the balcony because it's
gosh, I don't know if I've ever been.
No. Oh, you have this cafeteria with the bells, and then you have a door. But it's only in spring and summer that is open, and you can go to the terrace.
Marie, I don't think I've been there before.
Oh, you have to.
I need to do one of your tours. What about in the Musée d'Orsay? You being a Musée d'Orsay fan and an art fan, is there a particular piece that you think is above all the others?
That's a very interesting question. I mean, so many to choose from.
How about this? You get half an hour by yourself.
Van Gogh. I'm not. I mean, I'm a big fan of Van Gogh. They did an exhibition not so long ago in Musée d'Orsay by Van Gogh, and that literally, like, I went twice, and I stayed like so long there, but also that reminded me, I really need to go back to Amsterdam, because I've been to the Museum Van Gogh in Amsterdam 3 times, and every time I spend 3 hours there, and I want to do again that this year. So maybe I'm going to go now. I'm going to go to Amsterdam.
And is there a particular Van Gogh one there that you love? I'm trying to get to know you.
Again, it's hard. You know what? I'm going to tell you. I have one painting that sounds a bit weird for Van Gogh, but it's this crab. So it's very orange and red crabs. That is on a very green, like my sweater today, very green table. And I don't know, the color are just like so vivid. It's almost hypnotized me the first time I saw it. I was like, whoa.
I love that answer. I think a lot of people would say one of the famous ones, you're like, crab on a green table.
Yeah. I will send you the picture.
Yes, we'll share that picture as well. Okay, brilliant. So anyone listening who's interested in doing a Musée d'Orsay tour with My Private Paris, you can get in there half an hour early, but your guides will take people in at any time.
Of course, yeah.
So it's up to you, everybody, to go and explore. My Private Paris is the name. Marie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
And book a tour with her and her team. Inside of Paris, outside of Paris, they have their fingers on the pulse of this city and country. Everybody, I'll be back again next week with another episode. Thank you for listening.